Alright, so this part of the video will be when I got out of the hospital. Tried to basically get my shit together, figure out my new identity, because I was so used to living a certain lifestyle for so long, and I fell into like a depression and started drinking alcohol a lot. Some of the parts here are a bit of like the memory is a little fractured here because I'm not exactly sure when some of the timeline here at this point fit well. So I'm gonna go try my best how I remember things. So it's like at this point, I was like a drunk all the time. If I was at work, I would come home. It was always the constant, drinking till I sleep, and I kind of just did that for a bit. Eventually, I started to try to talk to more people. I was talking to guys and girls. I was trying to get laid. I was trying to fill in the void and stuff. So I know I guess it was like a hoe phase, or to try to figure out my shit. A lot of the time, though, I met a few people here and there, and like some of them, like I slept with. Some of them I just never bothered because they seemed to be more than just a fuck. They were decently good human beings that I came across, and I became friends with some of the good ones. I try not to invest too much because I didn't know when I was gonna end up killing myself again. Because it was also a time where I was pretty much going in and out of hospital over like suicide attempts, or just submitted myself back in. I pretty much uh, I try to enjoy my time knowing that it was limited. With this mindset, I just believed my time was limited. So I took a chance to go out a little bit more. I would adventure off. I would go to like almost my local Tim Hortons frequently just to draw. And I would spend almost like an hour, 2 hours, three max at Tim Hortons just drawing and just going home, and might game a bit and then drink and then go to sleep and then work. And then it kept going for like that for a while. I was trying to figure out myself here. I was dabbling into different styles, looks, and figure out what's this new character I want it to be. I There was also a period too that I was kind of pretty hostile to. I was starting fights too, just for the hell of it. I I would find reasons to fight people or give them a reason to fight me, and I wasn't a pleasant person to be around at this time. I was going through a lot of shit mentally. Like, a lot of my good friends, who I thought were my friends, end up backing out and basically just keeping themselves away. And I thought it would be better if I kept my distance as well from them. My friends who I thought we were friends, they were still leading me on to be kind of like almost a bad influence. My relationship with my mom was like we were trying to fix our shit, but I had a lot of hate at this point. And even my brother, he would fuck off often enough. He would just like constantly be talking to girls, and he was also just getting like trying to get laid left and right. And I I kind of felt alone because I was purposely distant myself. Like I said, a lot of my way I was feeling was like I was self sabotaging myself because I didn't know how to deal with any of my shit. So I know I'll post the pictures I was drawing probably at the end of this video to have an idea like what I was drawing and stuff. I was drawn in and out of the hospital, so I have some of those drawings that were drawn in the hospital. And I don't know. I remember I met a few people and I hope that I changed their life for the better. And I try to give the best advice to stay away from what I was going through so they don't have to go through what I was going through. I end up meeting up a couple of old friends. And they too were also dealing with some shit, but I didn't. Not like I had to abandon them, but I was too busy dealing with my own shit that I don't have time to deal with other people's shit. Eventually, I decided that I was like, maybe I should have a change of scenery to help build up my character. Maybe I should move to Moncton. It's bigger, there's variety, there's new stores, maybe new people. I can start a new character and maybe build up something new. And so that was kind of the path I was aiming for. So I was thinking how I was going to move there, but it was constantly on the back burner. I just didn't have quite the money to save up to move to Moncton and try to grab all my stuff. My mom offered a place to stay and to like I grab a handful of stuff for storage, but I can't bring everything. But I had a lot of stuff that I didn't want to sacrifice. I remember I think even an old friend, Crumby, he contacted me and said like he was doing good for his life. He met a new boyfriend and I think he was moving to Toronto and he was basically offering his place for me to take care of and stuff, and I was like I was down to take care of it if he needed to, if he was not going to be back for a while, but I didn't hear too much word from him. He was just telling me his news and that's it. I think at this point my friends at Greco, we were still communicating them and talking pretty deep and trying to figure out my shit. They were very supportive, and so they were like, cause I consider them family, and they helped me steer me to a better direction. But I was pretty stubborn that outside of work I was still trying to figure my shit out, and eventually, I remember once during figuring my shit out, I know some past partners try to come back into my life, and it was pretty awkward because it was like I was done with them. I remember Brooke tried to come back, and I remember feeling like my headspace at the time was pretty negative, and I remember she was always complaining about her life, but I'm like her life wasn't as bad as mine, and maybe it's rude to compare, or not healthy to compare, but it's like I saw that she had two parents that obviously cared, and she was making a lot of stupid decisions. I had like basically no parents. I was in the system, and she had a drinking problem because her ex abused her. But then I was like, I have a drinking problem because I'm trying to stop myself from like either trying to kill myself or numb out a lot of the pain I was going through. But no, dealing with Brooke for a period of time, it was like no wonder, like she was pretty selfish. I said she was kind of like dating multiple men, and anytime that she slept over, uh, basically the last hour I would come back from work, she would be gone, and I was hoping that she'd be home when I get home, because after a long shift, you like have a bit of company, but she would fuck off like the last hour. My roommate would tell me that anyway. And she was pretty expensive because she had a strict diet and she couldn't eat gluten. She had all these allergies, so everything was expensive, and money wasn't too much of an issue. But the fact is, it's like, and like even like modern problems with women, it's like you spend all this money just for nothing. And so I was expecting to get laid, but company was nice. Eventually, I just end up feeling like maybe I'm simping. Maybe I'm simping too much, so I ended up just like fucking off. I'm like, if she wants to date multiple people and fuck multiple people and bail on me all the time, I'm just gonna do the same. So I know it was during my whole phase where I was just fucking everybody and then anybody. Eventually, I had grown a bit of more of self-esteem and value to myself, where I wasn't gonna offer myself anymore. I kind of just stopped sleeping around and fucking around with anybody. I kind of try to focus on building up myself and building up my character to be a better version of myself. So at this point in my timeline here, that I started becoming better, but I was still suffering from this depression. My brother started dating this girl named Bianca, and he was my one of my ex friends' girlfriend. Well, ex friend's ex girlfriend, and my brother, he was quite like the dog. He was like cheating on her and shit like that, and I had to go on my way to just tell her. I told all the girls that my brother ever dated like what kind of person he is. And so my brother is a real piece of shit. Like he's a very compulsive cheater, he's a liar, manipulator, and all this shit. And like all these girls don't like, oh, I don't see any of that shit. But I thought I'd just warn anyway. Eventually, I think my brother picked the wrong fight with the wrong person. Anyway, he ended up getting stabbed, and he was pretty much like bleeding out. He ran home, and I remember this what I was doing at the time, where he burst in through the front door to call 911. I was like pretty much I was cutting myself. I was cutting my arms and legs and face and stomach and chest, and I was remember just feeling so drunk and so out of it. I didn't feel none of it, so I just kept going. I was like, I'm cutting myself because I'm trying to feel something, and I don't feel nothing, so I just kept cutting. And then he comes in, he's like, oh, I've been stabbed, and he's bleeding. I'm trying to put pressure on his stomach. He's like, I need water, and I'm like, I don't think we should give you water if you're bleeding out. And so, call 911. I put pressure on him. The ambulance came, and then the police said, like, is he like try to get some kind of statement from me? But I'm like, I've been home this entire time. I have no idea what was going on. Since I had all the cuts on my face and shit, she thought that I was involved in that knife fight, and I was like, no, I'm just having some issues right now. But right now, my brother needs to be prioritized. He's bleeding out. He can possibly die right now. So I end up cleaning myself up a little bit and try to go to the hospital to see if he was gonna make it and shit. And I think he was in surgery for like 4 hours. And I remember like I think I sat there for a bit with his girlfriend Bianca, and I was just trying to break the ice and just talk some shit and cheer her up, because I was like, it's pretty miserable for everybody. And I remember holding all my feelings in for so long, and I remember just breaking down, because it was like she was one of the first people to ask me like how I was holding up, because during like my 7 months of this depression and breakup, all I've been doing was drinking and hurting myself. I was like doing so much stupid shit. But it's like all my good friends, they don't want to ask or overstep the boundaries, I guess, just to be on the safe side. And all my friends were too busy living their own life through my shit, like my home. And everybody online, and everybody took my girlfriend, well, ex-girlfriend's side, and I'm just alone. And she asked me, and I was breaking down a bit, that I was like expressing how I feel and that I miss how things were, and I'm still trying to figure my shit out. So times passed, and the doctor said he needed rest, so he told all of us we should just go home and come back in the morning. So I believe that I went to work and then I came to the hospital after work. I left early, I believe, in order to go check up on him. And he was doing okay until he was healing up, and he was in there for about the whole day, and then eventually like a complication happened and he was bleeding on the inside more. So the doctors made a mistake on how deep the wound really was, because I think what he did was he ended up trying to maybe get up to pee, or maybe kind of stretched or ate or something. Anyway, he did something and something burst inside of him that was pouring blood, and he was in a lot of pain. So they had to open him back up, go through, and saw that the it was deeper than expected, and he was pretty much dying at this point. He only had a 25% chance to survive in this because uh, I guess he was bleeding out more than they expected, and he lost like 4 quarts of blood or some shit like that. And so, I was waiting to see what was going to happen, and they patched him up, and he was in rest for a bit. So I pretty much had to, like, I was trying to stay sober to try to help him as much as I possibly can. But so I just went home, and it was on my mind, and I said I put on some video games to shock myself. I was drawing, watching movies. I went for a walk, and I was like feeling this huge wave over me where I was like, I feel like just ending my life again. And so I ended up just like sitting on the edge of my bed, and I remember I took some pills, and I just wanted to keep going, so I was taking more, and then like I passed out. I don't know, I slept like a good part of my day when I woke up. I'm pretty sure I missed work and told them I was sick and my brother was dying and shit, so they gave me that day off, if I recall. And so I was just, I think I was even lower than where I was, because I know this point I was doing more of these pills than I was drinking. And I know for a fact it's because like it felt like nobody cared. It's like family didn't care, my friends didn't care, and nobody checked up on me, and I was just so low. And I was really sad, and like everybody was checking up on my ex-girlfriend, and she was doing fine. She seemed to be so happy, and I was just upset with myself, I guess, that I wish I could have been I wasn't so broken for the time I was with her. It was just a very chaotic mind I was having. And I know, like, I suffer from dissociation. So I know a lot of the times I was just on this autopilot and dissociating myself from a lot of the situation. And it was like that for, like, I had to say maybe, like, 2 months, 3 months maybe. I can't remember the time. I just remember it being so fucking dark all the time, and I was so alone, and nobody really checked up on me. It was a constant battle of just not trying to kill myself. And honestly, if my brother wasn't in the hospital at that time, I probably wouldn't be here. I think I would have, I'm pretty sure I would be gone, because the only reason why I didn't was to try to help him out if he did survive and he came out, and if he needed me to. I don't know how severe it was, so it's like I was thinking worst of the worst, like if he's like crippled or some stupid shit, like if I had to help him around the house and take care of him for like the first bit I needed to be around, because his dad lives all the way in like Quebec, and our mom lived all the way in Moncton, so I was the only family close enough for him to be here. So I was just waiting for him to come back home so I can take care of him, and that's the only thing that was keeping me from not killing myself, because it was so many times where I just wanted to end it all. I had so much hate for myself. So by the end of this part here, my news came that he made it, he survived, and he was ready to go. About, I think it was at the end of the month, because he was in there pretty long. So he got out and everything was fine, and then he came back and he spent some time of it. And I think he was working at Tim Hortons at this time, maybe. And he tried chilling with me for a bit, because I was expressing where I was mentally. And I think he said he was going to try to stay too, to help. We were helping each other out. But then he started to go out a lot more often, and I just barely see him during the week. I would maybe see him 2 days of the week for at night for maybe like 4 hours. And then I think eventually he started to fuck around with other people. So his girlfriend, I think we were talking, because we hit it off pretty good with just being friends and just checking up on each other. And she'd be like, "Is Chance with me?" And I'm like, "No, I thought he was with you," and stuff. So we were always gossiping to each other. So I was sending her memes and jokes and stuff. And it was like everything just platonic, because I didn't have any romantic feelings or anything like that. I was pretty numb when it came to the feeling part. And I think I'll end it here. I'll put like the pictures of like my walks and my art, and like, I guess, pictures when I got out of the hospital. I kind of found them and dug them up, and like you see that I was trying to. If you see my videos from my other things with me being on mask, you'll see I was trying to go in and out of different styles and figure my shit out. So next week will be, I guess, I think it'll be the biggest transition of my life that happened. And I think I'll say that for next week. Of me escaping the depression and literally becoming the start of the better version of myself, and working its way to who I am today. Because I'd rather have that just be the focus point instead of this being the depressing story. So I say thank you for stopping by and for watching and taking the time to just hear this story. You don't have to like or subscribe or anything. I just wanted my story to be out there. And majority of the time when I do these videos is because it's for myself for the future, and for my kids to see my progression of how I changed, because I'm not a perfect person at all. And I want them to see that I grew, and they'll see that even the changes that are minor for me, and being so mentally unhinged back then, and impulsive and chaotic to the more stoic and, I guess, humble, I could say it, version of myself. And that people can see that I'm not the same person who I was when I first started this channel. And to see that I feel more complete. I'm broken, but I feel more complete. And I think we're on the right track. So at the end of this part of the video, you'll see my art that I've done during this time period of my life. Uh, Out the hospital to where my brother got stabbed. These were be the drawings that I've done and my little adventures. And I guess my start of my transitioning